Brought to you by Penguin.
The Ingenious Hidalgo Don Quixote de la Mancha by Miguel de Cervantes. Read by Kayvan Novak, Josh Cohen, Alistair Petrie, and Richard Hughes.
Both for ease of listening and because it contains details of the plot, we've placed the introduction to this Penguin classic at the end of the audiobook.
Part 1. Prologue. Idle reader, I don't have to swear any oaths to persuade you that I should like this book, since it is the son of my brain, to be the most beautiful, elegant, and intelligent book imaginable. But I couldn't go against the order of nature, according to which like gives birth to like. And to what can my barren and ill-cultivated mind give birth except the history of a dry, shrivelled child, whimsical and full of extravagant fancies that nobody else has ever imagined? A child born, after all, in prison, where every discomfort has its seat and every dismal sound its habitation. Tranquillity, peaceful surroundings, the pleasures of the countryside, the serenity of the skies, the murmuring of the springs and the quietude of the spirit, these are the things that encourage even the most barren muses to become fertile and bring forth a progeny to fill the world with wonder and delight. It can happen that a man has an ugly, charmless son, and his love blindfolds him to prevent him from seeing the child's defects. On the contrary, he regards them as gifts and graces, and describes them to his friends as examples of wit and cleverness. But although I seem like Don Quixote's father, I am his stepfather, and I don't want to drift with the current of custom, or beg you almost with tears in my eyes, as others do, dearest reader, to forgive or excuse the defects that you see in this my son. And you are neither his relative nor his friend. You have your own soul in your own body, and your own free will like anybody else, and you are sitting in your own home, where you are the lord and master just as much as the king is of his taxes. And you know the common saying, under my cloak a fig for the king. All of which exempts and frees you from every respect and obligation, and so you can say whatever you like about this history, without any fear of being attacked for a hostile judgment or rewarded for a favourable one. I'd have liked to give it to you plain and naked, undecorated by any prologue or the endless succession of sonnets, epigrams, and eulogies that are usually put at the beginnings of books, because I can tell you that although it was quite an effort to write the book, producing this preface that you're now reading was far worse. Many times I picked up my pen to write it, and as many times I put it down again because I didn't know what to say. And once, when I was in this quandary, with the paper in front of me, the pen behind my ear, my elbow on my desk and my cheek in my hand, wondering what I could write, a friend of mine burst in, a lively and clever man who, on seeing me so thoughtful, asked me the reason. And I didn't keep anything from him, but said that I was thinking about the prologue that I had to write for the history of Don Quixote, and that it had reduced me to such a state that I didn't want to write it at all, still less publish the exploits of this noble knight. Because how do you expect me not to be worried about the opinion of that ancient legislator called the general public, when he sees that after all this time, sleeping in the silence of oblivion, and burdened by the years as I am, I'm coming out with a book as dry as esparto grass, devoid of inventiveness, feeble in style, poor in ideas, and lacking all erudition and instruction, without any marginalia or endnotes, unlike other books I see that, even though they are fictional and not about religious subjects, are so crammed with maxims from Aristotle, Plato, and the whole herd of philosophers that they amaze their readers, who consider the authors to be well-read, erudite, and eloquent men. And when they quote the Holy Scriptures, anyone would take them for no less than so many St. Thomases or other doctors of the Church. And here they maintain such an ingenious decorum that, having depicted a dissolute lover on one line, they provide on the next line a little Christian sermon, a pleasure and a treat to hear or read. Well, there won't be any of this in my book, because I haven't anything to put in the margins, or any notes for the end. Still less do I know what authors I have followed in my text, so as to list them at the beginning, as others do, in alphabetical order, beginning with Aristotle and finishing with Xenophon and Zoilus or Zeuxis, even though one was a slanderer and the other a painter. My book will also lack sonnets at the beginning, or at least sonnets whose authors are dukes, marquises, counts, bishops, ladies, or famous poets. Though, if I asked 2 or 3 tradesmen friends of mine, I'm sure they'd let me have...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?